Hello, my name is Madeline Jones. My presentation is on how men's perceived non-conforming gender expression and sexual orientation affect social distance, and this will be done in collaboration with Dr. Li and Dr. Lin at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Social distance refers to one's willingness to engage with another in the social sphere to varying degrees, such as sitting on the bus to being friends to being married. The literature points to social distance in multiple contexts, such as in gender expression and sexual orientation, but more research has yet to be done to explore these two constructs together in their relation to social distance. This matter is further complicated by the potential conflation between gender expression and sexual orientation, as some people may assume that gender expression is indicative of sexual orientation. That is, if someone has prejudice against both nonconforming gender expression and sexual orientation, this may have an additive effect on social distance. However, knowledge of the independent natures of gender expression and sexual orientation may prevent this double effect and thereby reduce social distance. Additional research has demonstrated that intergroup contact reduces prejudice, and this has been demonstrated with prejudice against gay men and transgender folks. Therefore, there is reason to believe that prior familiarity may also reduce social distance. Given this literature, this study will focus on what factors may play a role in the perception of men's gender expression and sexual orientation, and how this perception may affect social distance. Based on the literature, our hypotheses are that 1. Vignette target descriptions of males with a nonconforming gender expression and sexual orientation will result in the greater social distances than targets with a conforming gender expression and sexual orientation. 2. We expect that participants will disproportionately assume that a target with a nonconforming gender expression to be gay, while a target with a conforming gender expression will be assumed straight. 3. We expect that there will be a difference in social distance based on whether a disclosed sexual orientation is incongruent with the assumed sexual orientation. That is to say, if the target is assumed gay but disclosed to be straight, then it's expected for social distance to change. For our methods, we will recruit about 300 participants through SONA, social media, and MTurk, and the data will be processed using Qualtrics. Using target vignettes that have been validated in previous studies, our procedure will consist of an experimental procedure, where half of the participants will be given the vignette for a nonconforming gender expression, and the other half for a conforming gender expression. In this first step, though, sexual orientation will be withheld. Following the target description, participants will provide their first ratings of social distance and their assumed sexual orientation. The participants will then be shown the same vignette description as before, but this time they will either be told that the target is gay or straight. This will be evenly distributed in both groups, such that half of the non-conforming group will be told the target is gay and the other half straight. This will be repeated for the conforming group as well. Participants will then provide their second ratings of social distance following this disclosure of sexual orientation. Thus, the design contains 8 possible combinations in a 2x2x2 manner, where there are 2 levels of gender expression, conforming and non-conforming, 2 levels of assumed sexual orientation that will be explored, gay and straight, and 2 levels of disclosed sexual orientation, gay and straight. Finally, participants will respond to measures assessing their individual differences in pre-existing prejudice, contact experience, knowledge of conflation, and social desirability. For our analysis, to test hypothesis 1, we will conduct a 2x2 ANOVA using gender expression and either disclosed sexual orientation or assumed sexual orientation to compare their respective social distances. To test hypothesis 2, a chi-square test will test for differences in the proportion of participants who assumed the target was gay or straight based on target gender expression. To test hypothesis 3, a difference score will be created by subtracting the first social distance score from the second score. These scores will then be compared among the targets that have been paired by their assumed and disclosed sexual orientations, such as being assumed gay and disclosed straight, which would be considered a match, or being assumed gay and disclosed straight, which would be considered a mismatch. Lastly, to test hypothesis 4, multiple hierarchical regression analyses will be performed to predict social distance from the target's gender expression and either their disclosed or assumed sexual orientation, with the individual differences, that is, prejudice, contact experience, and social and knowledge of conflation, serving as separate moderators. Interaction among the predictors and moderators will be explored. For each analysis, age, participant, sexual orientation, and social desirability will be controlled. For our results, we we expect that the combination of non-conforming gender expression with disclosed gay will result in the greatest social distance, supporting hypothesis 1. Additionally, we expect that participants will assume gay more often than straight for targets with a non-conforming gender expression, and vice versa for targets with a conforming gender expression, supporting hypothesis 2. From the analysis for hypothesis 3, we expect that the change in social distance will be greater for the mismatched pairs between assumed sexual orientation and disclosed sexual orientation compared to the matched pairs. Lastly, we expect that prejudice will strengthen while conduct experience and knowledge of conflation will buffer the impact of nonconformity of social distance, supporting hypothesis 4. Ultimately, these findings will further the understanding on factors leading to discrimination against gender and sexual minorities. Thank you for your time and attention.